Awesome, brilliant. And where exactly are you at the moment in Zander? Where are you training? Where are you living?
So we're based at Heriot Watt in sort of the performance centre. So we're really lucky to have this fantastic facility. So we use the indoor dome over at Orium, just as at the entrance, and then we're staying in the hotel just on the right as you come in. So have everything on our doorstep. You know, in years gone by, it would have had to be buses here, buses there to get from gym to Murrayfield back to hotel. But to have everything on site, you know, it gives us the opportunity to be the best recovered and best prepared team. So yeah, it's really good.
Brilliant. So just like being back at Strath then, everything on site.
I missed the buffet at Strath a bit more because the food's amazing, as you know.
Yeah. Well, in fact, we've got a question right up here. What's in your snacks?
Jay, you go first.
Well, I'm eating currently, this is a bit of a plug, some proper Pioneer biltong, which is actually...
No emphasising, please.
It's actually one of the boys at Edinburgh who makes it. It's actually really good, and it's drywer, so it's like 100% beef. So,
nice.
Instead of eating crisps,
well, I'm coming to Zander now. He's probably hiding all his Wotsits under his desk.
Not at all. No, you know me. I'm a lean mean fight machine. So I had a fajita chicken wrap, and then I went to the kitchen and we got some grenade protein bars, which are incredible. So I grabbed that and grabbed the coffee and stuff. So I think I had the apple rumble bar, which is unbelievable. So
you've been well looked after by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, very well looked after.
A couple of questions actually for both of you. Clearly people know you. So someone's asking, was it difficult moving to prop for you, Zander? And for Jamie, when did you first know you wanted to be a flanker?
Zander, on you go.
I'll go right. Maybe the prop was a bit of an adjustment. Hendo eventually bit my arm, and he said, "You're too slow." Not tall enough.
I wasn't that cutting. Come on.
I'm joking. Sort of had a quick sit down with a few people and just sort of said, if you want to give professional rugby a bash, at number 8, it's going to be quite difficult, just because of genetics. Cheers, mum and dad. But I loved it. Once I got my head around it, a few sore necks, and I was really lucky that I had Hendo and I had Muzz and Cammy at school and stuff to work with, and Eddie Pollock did quite a lot of stuff with us as well. And I had that base at the gym and the strength sort of focus thing. I'm quite lucky. I was quite good in the gym. So yeah, it was just more of just working on technique and stuff. And even I'm still learning to this day. Props are a thing that even at the end of your career, you're still learning new things. And I've been really lucky to work with some great coaches. So even like last year with Petrus Duplessis coming in at Glasgow and Peter into Scotland this year, I'm learning new stuff every week. So awesome. It was a tough process, but one I'm really glad I did, and it's turned out all right, I feel. And I think you can eat as much as you want, so it's brilliant. I love it.
That's one of the benefits. So, Jamie, you made the transition from the show ponies to the boys at the cold face, as it were. So, talk us through that.
Yeah, mine was a bit different. I think I was under 16s when I moved. I used to get in trouble for going into too many rucks as a back. I think that, and then I went through a bit of a growth spurt as well, kind of during that summer between 4th form and 5th form. And it was the first time I actually made the decision was at Tayside and Fife, and it was like, we all got brought in, and they were like, right, forwards on this side, backs on this side, and I just went and walked over to the forwards, and that was kind of decision made at that point. And so I'm really glad I did. I think I was pretty lanky when I made the transition, so I played a bit of second row, and then I don't know. I always enjoyed the bits in and around the ball. I always enjoyed defending and trying to get steals and stuff. So it kind of was a bit of a no-brainer for me when I got the opportunity. So.
And do you feel there's anything that you've managed to take from your days as a back to be such a successful forward? Like maybe
hopefully
your mid-air sidestep?
The sidestep doesn't come out as much anymore. I don't have the ball in that much space. But I think, in terms of like my handling and stuff, I think it did me the world of good. Like practicing all that kind of thing when I was younger definitely stood me in better stead when it came to moving to flanker, and especially when I get up to the professional ranks, because I've not always been the biggest or the heaviest, but I've always been pretty skillful. So that's it stood me in good stead in terms of bridging that gap physically, because I have a few more deft touches probably helped me out a wee bit, avoid some collisions.
Awesome. So we've got another question here for both of you again, and it's asking about, and clearly it's moving towards your first international appearance at Murrayfield. I'm just asking how it felt to walk out at Murrayfield for the first time. So I guess, Zander, you were kind of first. I remember this, half the school there that day in 2016 when we were playing England at Murrayfield, and we're all waiting. We were on the bench at that point and waiting for that. Jimmy had to wait a little bit longer for his first cap, which was obviously in Canada, but it'll be interesting to find out what his our home ground in terms of Murrayfield felt like that. So Zander, if you let us know how you felt that time.
Yeah, I remember I'd been in camp a few times before, and I think I was in there as a training squad member, and sort of similar to Jimmy Dobby and Rufus in this camp just now. And you're in there, and it's a bit of a reality check, you know, because it's a lot faster, it's a lot more physical, and some of the guys that I looked up to playing stuff were there, and then all of a sudden you're in the camp, and yeah, it was amazing. And then the whole build up to the week, you know, training at Murrayfield, and then I got announced in the team, and all the boys will say well done, and then actually getting to the warm up and going into the ground at Murrayfield when the bus comes in. I got tipped off by Gordon Reid, but you come in the main gate, go around the corner, and then it slows right down, and you've got the pipe band in front. And he says, make sure when the bus slows down, take your headphones off, and just to hear the noise of the fans and to hear the pipe band, it was absolutely incredible. Set me right up for the warm up and for the game, you know. So I remember just coming out even for the warm up, and just like Murrayfield was full. I played there before with Glasgow against Edinburgh, and it's sort of, I think with even 15,000 people, it was sort of still half packed, and to actually be on the pitch and have it full it's incredible. And then the anthems, I managed to pick it up by mum and dad and my gran, and yeah, it was pretty emotional. But coming on, I think got on the last 15-20 minutes, just absolutely loved it. It was really so loud, just I don't think you can really describe the noise until you actually been on the pitch and hear it. But it definitely lifted me, and it was awesome having all you Strath guys there. I could hear you pretty loud and clear when I came on. Only people cheering.
We were up in the gods, but we were making a bit of noise.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, obviously, Jamie was said, you know, Canada was when you got your first cap. But it's always going to be a bit more special, I think, when you get your next cap running at Murrayfield. So how was it for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember, I won't reiterate a lot of the stuff that Zander said, but for me, my favourite part of the day was getting off the bus. I think any new player that I come across now, I say, like, make sure you take your headphones off when you get a step on the bus, because of the absolute wall of noise that hits you as soon as you get off is incredible. And because it's a wee bit before the game, you're not really in that kind of zone that you can appreciate it a wee bit more. I think for me, when it comes to going out for the warm-up and for the anthems, I'm kind of in a different headspace. So for me, getting off the bus is probably the thing I miss most at the moment as well. But yeah, going on to my first game playing at Murrayfield, it was like during a pretty crazy time. I think unfortunately my gran had passed away the week before, and like it was a pretty crazy time for me and my family. And I just remember going out there and just being so proud and knowing that she was really proud of me. And as Zander said, like I managed to catch my family and my kids up in the stands during the anthem, which was a pretty special feeling. And then got out and played and managed to score a try as well from I think it was like 50 metres out.
Well, it's gotten longer every time you've spoken to me, so that's fine. We'll give you that one. I think
more like 50 centimetres, I think.
For both of you, you've kind of mentioned your families and stuff, and you know, I think we have to remember that even though you have that privilege of playing, you're not just playing for yourself a lot of the time. You are playing for your family, for your friends, for your country. Just maybe go very quickly. You know, what kind of things motivate you, or do you use that type of thing to motivate yourself sometimes when things are tough?
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, I think sort of looking back on all the hardships Mum and Dad went through to get to be where I am today, and me and Matt especially. Just the little things that before I went to Strath and was lucky enough to be taken by yours truly, until like the Stirling sessions on Monday night. You know, Mum would finish work at 4 o'clock, and there was 5 of us in the house, and she managed to get all of us to Stirling. Nathaniel and Rachel would be playing in the car, absolutely raging because they had to come to Stirling with Matt and I for a Monday night, and then the S&C sessions, she plays it down, but she was literally a personal taxi to and from Dundee for gym sessions, for everything else. So I owe a lot to my parents, especially for that. But I think the main thing for me is, one of the big things for me was my grandfather, before he passed, came and watched me play for Dundee High. We got to the plate final, and just to see him, I somehow managed to get a man of the match, and to see him as proud as punch after that game, and he sadly passed away before I came to Strath, and he would have absolutely loved it. And he didn't get to see me play for Scotland, which is kind of gutting. So I always think about him when I play. But I just want to make my kids proud, and I definitely think the way I play now, that sort of trying to reflect that a bit more, sort of certain antics and certain things. If the kids were to watch this a bit in a few years' time, would they be proud of Dad at this point, and how you handle yourself? So awesome. I just want to make my family proud, and it sort of helps me get in that headspace for the game.
There's one for you, Jamie. Obviously, you had a very different situation family-wise when you made your debut for Edinburgh at Leinster in Dublin. And Oscar was waiting in the wings.
Oh no, that was my first start when Oscar was born. So my first game at Leinster was my first game in that first year, and it was without kids for that one. And then it was a wee while until I played again for Edinburgh, and then it was my first start against Irish the following season that Oscar was born on the same day. So it was a pretty crazy one. But for me, just on the family kind of thing, because mine came pretty early, like obviously growing up, like parents were a massive support, and as similar to Zander, like ferrying us about everywhere, and like my mum gave up a lot for me to go to Strath, and like I'll be forever in her debt to that for that. And but kind of when it came to professional stuff, for me it's been hand in hand with learning on the go as a dad. And as I say, Oscar was born the day I made my first start for Edinburgh down at London Irish, sorry. So for me, it gave me a huge amount of perspective. I think I don't, by no means do I give advice for people who are coming into professional ranks, like have kids as early as you can. Like don't do it. But
guys,
for me, it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I think, as I say, it gave me perspective, and it gave me something away from rugby that meant that I wasn't on it all the time, and it probably allowed me to appreciate it more. So like even if I've had a bad day at training or something, I come home and I've got another job to do. Like I need to be there for Mills and the kids, and in a similar vein to Zander, like you want to make them proud, and all that you do is for them. So for me, my career has kind of been hand in hand with being a dad, and I've loved that for every minute. It's been challenging at times, don't get me wrong, as kids is for anyone, and especially with the kind of unpredictability of our job. Like you're in and out, the schedule changes, like you don't know when you're getting holidays and stuff like that. It's a huge challenge for the family, but they know why we do it, and we do it for them. So it's amazing, and I love it. And as I say, like for me, it's been a huge part of my career is having my kids kind of growing up watching me.
Yeah, it's awesome. And hats off to you guys, two very young men, two kids, and professional careers and everything else that goes with that. I just hope that all the stuff that's gone before you has kind of set you up for these moments, which you go through layers of your life. Right, very quick question here. It's a good one, and you've got to give me it pretty quick. We'll go to Jamie first. Best game you've ever had?
Japan World Cup.
Japan, awesome. Zander, World Cup, I take it. Jamie, World Cup. Yeah. Zander?
For me, I'd say Samoa in the World Cup as well. I didn't play amazing, but that was the game that I enjoyed the most. And I felt like I've kicked on from there. So similar.
Good stuff. Someone's just mentioned it's nice to see Matt getting on the action. Now, my idea, that was the girls in the office. Felt a little bit sorry for him. So if he's watching this, hello Matt, we got you in, mate. Don't worry. We'll get you on another one. Don't fret. So anyway, we talked about playing together at Strath. So just a very brief thing about what it was like to play in that team, and then we'll move on to kind of club and then pro stuff and all that kind of thing. But just what did it mean, the school rugby to you at Strath? We'll go to Jamie first.
I think at the time it was like everything. That was kind of our whole week was geared up to playing at the weekend, and we loved it. And I think for me especially, like on days where we had rugby, I was like, all right, we'll just get through the lessons and we'll get down to training, because when you're that age as well, you just want to do it all the time. I'm not saying we don't want to do it all the time now, but the body feels a bit more. But yeah, I just remember loving it, and I spent quite a lot of Zander's last season injured, but I just remember being desperate to get back. And like, these are the guys, because we're at Strath, obviously, these are guys you live with 24/7 most of the year, and you just love playing together. These are your best mates, and yeah, for me, I really enjoyed it. And then obviously, because I was injured most of that year, I particularly enjoyed the year after when I got to play most of the season. It was awesome.
Good, nice one, Zander.
Yeah, similar to Jamie, you're sort of with your best mates 24/7. I think some of my favourite times in Strath were at the lunch hall with Josh Laird and Muzz in the corner. We used to have the best laugh about the most crazy stuff. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And I'd come from Dundee High for my last 2 years, and was a bit nervous coming over and not knowing anyone apart from George and Cammy, who hated me when I played for Dundee. And then I met the boys, and like,
just then, was it just then they hated you?
And Jamie as well, yeah. And then came into pre-season, yeah, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, I'm so glad I did it. This is awesome fun, and we had a really good team. Murdo came in, and yeah, I was in nickel with Murdo, and we just chatted rugby the whole time. And my exam results showed that, yeah, I was the same as Jay. I couldn't wait for lessons. I couldn't wait for lessons to finish to get to rugby. So yeah, some of my favourite times on a rugby pitch were at Strath, especially.
You're a further maths. Try to do further maths.
Yeah, I was a genius.
Good stuff. Listen, got a couple of questions here again. What exactly was said in the changing room at halftime at Twickenham in 2019? Gee whiz, that's what was Zander disappeared. Is he coming back?
I wasn't there.
You weren't playing in that one.
I wasn't there.
I was 24th man. So
you've been in the changing
room.
Very
much. What was said was just let's just get back to. I think we came with a game plan that wasn't really working, and yeah, just Finn fronted it and said, let's just get back to doing what we do and playing that fast-flowing free rugby. And yeah, it turned out pretty good second half.
It worked. I mean, one of the craziest games I think most people who's ever watched Scotland England play, and a good thing to be involved in. Toughest rugby team you both played against while at Strath?
Oh, Watson's. Watson's
Jamie. Okay.
I would say murky for me. I think first year we played them in the cup first up, and it was just like such a physical game. And then played them again later on in the season, drew against them, and then yeah, it was always a tough fixture. And they had Big Magnus, who was the same size as he is now at school. So yeah.
Although I do remember an occasion where James Crazy Horse Spalding had Magnus in his pocket for the whole game. I don't know if you remember. I hope Magnus remembers that. You can maybe remind him when you see him.
Yeah.
But that was a day where and James, for all the young lads out there and girls, James had played in B teams most of his way through school and worked his way the previous year into a little bit of recognition, and then came into his own in that last year. And I always remember that game against Merkison that day, and I could not believe the shift that Crazy Horse put in. In fact, I think that's where he got his nickname, Crazy Horse, because he just chopped Maggie every time he got the ball. It was brilliant. I hope he's watching.
Yeah, that red scrum cap goes on his
yeah, the old red scrum hat, head on fire.
The high knees.
Good. Let's get another question. Let's see. Right. Okay, Jamie, this is for you. What was going through your head after you were punched in the face by Mohamed Houssas against France? Far from his fist.
Not much. I was quite lucky. I think he caught me in the metal plate that I've got on my cheek. So I think if he'd had me on the other one, I would have been in trouble, because he caught me pretty well. I can't remember. I was just like, is that just happened? He just banged me in the face. I just remember like trying to like keep him as far away from me as I could when I was on the ground and trying to get a couple shots at him, but missing.
Had you done anything to attract that attention from him?
No, I actually think he thought I was Nick Haining. So he'd been having a bit of handbags with Nick Haining. Nick Haining like pushed him in the face, and I think it like caught him in the eye. So he think he'd try to gouge him. And then I came in from the back and pushed one of them over, and he just pulled me up and like smoked me in the face. And I think he thought I was Nick Haining because he was moaning after the game saying like that I'd gouged him, but it wasn't me. But I think Nick had like pushed him in the face and like caught him in the eye by accident.
Yeah,
and that was what done it. But he actually
was a great
on the change in the changing room. He scratched his face to make it look really bad. So like you see him, he comes off. They film him close up. When if you watch the replay, when he goes off and he gets a red card, they film him close up and his face is fine. He goes in the change room and he comes back out after the game. He's got big scratches down his face. So he's obviously been in the change room.
There's a French for you. Huh? I always remember the picture that was put in the paper because I remember texting it to you, just saying, you're taking a decent smack in the schnoz there, mate. Well done for standing up, because your nose appeared to be halfway on the other side of your face, which is quite good. But that's, after the game, I'm sure you can have a beer and it was all good as in rugby.
Fine.
Whatever the French drink. Good. One for you, Zander. Who's the toughest guy you've ever scrummed against?
I get asked this question quite a lot, and it's not the answer everyone wants, but it was a guy for Stumel Twos. I can't remember his second name. I can't say his nickname because it's not appropriate.
Oh, right.
He had long hair. He's about 40 years old. Played him fresh out of school. I was Hawks 2, thought I was the man. And he was about 100 kegs soaking wet, long hair, hadn't showered for weeks. And he absolutely murdered me. My neck was in pieces. I learned a lot that day. But he absolutely killed me. And I said, we've got a mutual friend, and I said, next time, after all this is over, I need to go out for a beer with him and say thanks for it. Definitely.
I'm going to have to find this guy. I want to know this guy's name for future reference. So
I'll text you. I can't say it on here, but I'll text you.
I'll get his real name. Here's a nice question from Nick. It's for both of you. Jamie first. How much do you think about life after rugby, and how much have you prepared for it? Great question.
Very good.
I think about it a lot, actually, and all the things that I'm going to do. But I preparation-wise, not a lot. I've got a few bits in place, but in terms of studying, I chose not to do any. But I try and any chance I get to do kind of work experience or any bits of coaching and stuff like that, I kind of jump at and do a bit of a lot of reading and stuff like that, and try and do bits and bobs. But in terms of study, I've not done much, but a lot of the boys have, and I still might. But I do think about it quite a lot.
Yeah, because I think, for everybody that's listening and the young boys, you got to remember it's probably going to be the smallest part of your working life is playing professionally. So you've got a lot of your life left in terms of what you do, unless you make the, sack loads of cash and you can just sit back in some nice little retirement place or whatever it is. What about you, Zander?
I'm going to keep laughing. Yeah.
They do attract big pound signs.
I came out of school, I went to college after school and didn't really know what I was doing. But I think that year sort of gave me a bit of perspective that if rugby hadn't worked out, I need to get something going, and had mum in the back of my ear for a few years. So I got married, had Iona, and then over lockdown, had Hamish as well. So I chose the busiest time to get away from the kids. But I did my level 3 financial advising qualification over the first lockdown, which is sort of advanced higher level. And then I'm now doing a diplomacy in financial advising via the London Institute of Banking and Finance. So I find it really interesting. Helps.
Don't take any advice off him though.
Well, Jamie, surely the further maths is now paid off.
Well, you're as well going down Betfair and punt on a horse than getting advice off.
I've got a few tips if you want them, but that sort of gives me one eye to the future. It's what I'd love to do, but also lets me think about how I handle myself just now and finances just now and sort of getting your pension set up and everything. So I think having kids definitely put that at the forefront of my mind, and having snapping my ankle, you know, sort of if it was all to end tomorrow, have I got stuff in place for that? And 2 years ago I'd say I wouldn't have, but now I'd sort of say that I've got a few connections, a few relationships that I could get into doing a bit of work experience. But
right, I think you've promoted your new business enough now. Right? That's everybody up on the phone.
Yeah, the plan is escape the chateau once I stand in France and older. But I'll get Dick Strawbridge a call, see what he says. But yeah.
Okay, nice little question here from Craig. Which players in the squad do you look up to for both of you? So, Jamie?
Probably, I do a lot of stuff with Hamish Watson. Him and I, like, we always do all our extras together and that kind of thing. So yeah, probably look up to Hamish. Like, I see how he's been so consistent over the last few years, and I think it's pretty awesome. So yeah, probably Mish.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've always said, you've probably heard this before, I've said, you know, that the real top players will always be the big guys with the wee man skills, and obviously Hamish definitely plays a lot bigger than he actually is stature-wise. How he bounces people and stuff is incredible, but you know, it gets harder as you get more tall timber. So if you can combine those two, yeah, it's good. What about you, Zander? Who have you looked up to in the squad?
So yeah, I'm really lucky that I've got VP still in the squad, still going strong. You know, 34, incredible. I sort of having him as a good friend as well. You know, always bounce off a few things off him, and he's really open with me and really helped me develop over the years. Just chatting over that, but having Peter DeVilliers as well. You know, I've got two guys who are both could at their time, you know, best tight heads in the world. So yeah, very lucky to have VP, and he's a good laugh and keeps me honest, which is good.
Yeah, a lot of experience there, and a real comfort to know that you've got someone to go to. Back to all things Strath. Did you have any time to do other things at Strath other than rugby, or did you concentrate on rugby from a young age?
Yeah, there you go.
So I was at Strath a wee bit longer than Zander, so I joined in third form. But yeah, when I came, I still did a lot of judo and played a bit of cricket and stuff as well. So yeah, I'd say I tried to do as much as I could. So yeah, played cricket quite a bit until my second last year. I didn't play my last year because Zander and I both went to New Zealand for the 20s World Cup, and I stopped judo maybe around the end of fourth form, start of fifth form. I loved clay pigeon shooting when I was at Strath. That was one of the things I really enjoyed. And yeah, just mates and eating.
Good, Zander.
Yeah, it's same as Jimmy's last one. I definitely bulked up a little bit at school. Loved the gym, especially. I managed to serenade my wife, which is a big one. So yeah, a lot of extra time spent on that, and then did athletics, short playing and stuff like that as well. And then I was really lucky that when I first came, I was still doing my mountain biking quite a lot. So I've been lucky. I've got a few mates of mine along Pitman Forest along the road. So only went a few times, but I think I made a few tracks in the woods, which the bursar was very happy about. So I had to destroy them. But yeah, managed to mountain bike, get in the gym, and do some shot puts. So keeping busy, got me out of lessons.
I beat you at shot put though. Remember that?
One time, yeah.
Well, you know, it's in the bag. He's not going to let you forget, is he?
1 from 1.
There was also a little singing group that I remember, Zander. That's quite. I've still got the video of that, which is always good to have a giggle at. Sorry,
your hand fits in mine, like it's made just for me. That one. Yeah. Yeah, it was a big muzz. It was all for sure.
Big muzz, yeah. Although I don't know how Jamie didn't make it into that, because Jamie's got a good singing voice. I've heard Jamie sing before.
Don't get him started. Don't get
under the radar. Under the radar. No,
yeah, obviously not invited. I think most of them were front row boys.
It was elite club.
Mostly front. Oh no. Oh well. Charlie was there, wasn't he? But he had been a front rower in Riley, Charlie Mearns, and then he ended up on the wing. So there's another one for you out there as well. Don't think because when you play a position when you're in Riley or the prep school, that's where you're going to end up. Charlie Mearns, front rower in Riley, and one of the fastest guys we had on the wing, and a great finisher. So there you go.
Still probably the fastest bloke when he was on at prop as well.
He probably was, yeah. He was a quick prop. Right, let's go to there's loads of questions. I'm loving some of this anonymous guy. He's coming up with some absolute belters. Here's a good one, though, from Rafi. Which team do you most enjoy beating? And that could be anything, club or international. Zander, we'll go with you first.
Beating Leinster over in Leinster, yeah, it was nothing sweeter. The Guinness was a different level. So yeah, just they're sort of, I think they had like a 18 game unbeaten run at home, and they put out a full strength team and thought they were going to absolutely get the 5 points and pump us. So to get the win over there was massive.
That's a big one. Jamie?
My favourite ones were Toulon a couple of seasons ago, home and away. That was pretty awesome.
Okay, another one here. How old were you when you started playing, from Leo, playing rugby?
I was 7 or 8. I think I did one session at the How when I was 7, and then I waited till I was primary 4 and at 8 and did it at Madras Schools was where I started. So yeah, 8 probably properly.
Cool. Zander?
I think I was 6 for touch rugby, and then when I was 8, started doing contact and fell in love with it ever since.
And what would you say, what are the most important things as a youngster when you're just starting to get involved in rugby? What would you say from what you can recall back then? What would you say are the important things? Because you think differently when you're that age, and it's only maybe when you've got a little bit of experience and stuff that you actually understand what's really important. So what would you say was really important, Jamie, to you when you were starting?
Enjoying it. Like, I think there was a little period, like not long after I started and before I went to kind of high school, where I used to get really nervous before games, and like would get to the point where nearly like fake injuries to not play. And it was, I think that's when I realized that I really did enjoy it. And I think, enjoyment for you is a massive thing, and just trying to get hands on the ball and learn to tackle, like just getting your basics. Those are the main things when you're that age. Like make sure your tackle technique's good and learn to pass off both hands.
Zander?
I'd say same as Jay, enjoyment, but also key thing for me at that age was sort of doing a whole bunch of other sports, which I think can help you develop in rugby. So if that's football or tennis, whatever, hand-eye coordination, tennis, or just doing anything, get out, being as active as possible can only be a good thing. And then sort of what my recommendation would be is when you're older, you can specialise in one or two and pick the ones you love. But enjoyment for me. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it.
Good. It's really good because there's a couple of moments come up on the questions, which were questions I wanted to ask anyway. So I'll go to Jamie. One of the nicest things that's probably happened to you, and lots of things have happened, but after the Japan game, when they presented you with the sword, just give us an idea of how that came about, how that made you feel, just as a player.
It was strange. So like we finished the game, and obviously we were like really disappointed, like gutted. I swapped jerseys with the 7, which was pretty cool. And it was all a bit quiet and stuff in the changing room, and we were actually walking out to do media, and Michael Leach came up to me, and he had this like random purple bag. It was like a long bag, and just came over to me, and he shook my hand, and he pulled this thing out. He's like, "Mate, I thought you are our man of the match today, so this is for you." Basically handed it over, and I was pretty taken aback. It was pretty cool. I didn't take it out of the scabbard initially, so I thought he'd give me like a proper metal sword, and I was like, "This is awesome." And then so got it, took it back to the changing room, got it out, and realised it was wooden, and was still pretty buzzing, but realised that I'd be able to get it home. So it was pretty cool. I mean, to be recognised by the opposition was pretty special, and especially in such a game, in like such a massive game for us.
Yeah.
I think for me, it made the blow a little bit easier to take, knowing that they had felt that I'd given a lot and obviously tried my best, which I felt I had. And I look back on it now, like I watched the game back for the first time during lockdown, and I just kind of got more of a feel for how massive an occasion it was. Like I remember in the game, like being like, "This is unreal," especially during their anthem. Funnily enough, like it was one of the eeriest feelings I've ever had in a stadium, and it was such a special day, having had all the stuff that had gone on the week before, like with the the typhoon and not knowing if the game was going to get played and stuff. And like, I think, like, this might sound bad, but I think if we were to be beaten by any team that day, it was to be beaten by Japan. And like, it was such a huge day for them. And I think all credit, they played well and we just weren't good enough. And it was a special day and one I'll remember forever.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. And as you say, it's great being the hosts of a tournament as big as that, and as you say, something fitting for them. Zander, the question here is, and I've no doubt you've been asked this many times, how are you feeling when you got away with Gillian's referring to it as the sneaky try against Italy in the autumn tests?
Yeah, it was sort of like disbelief. I'm so lucky that Scotty Cummins was screaming at me, put it down, because I was just like, for some reason in my head, I thought I was going to get done for offside and get yellow carded. So I was like, I don't want to put this down in case the ref yellow cards me for some reason. But yeah, I don't know why I thought that. But yeah, I'll take it. It's the easiest try I'll ever get, and probably the most I'll be asked questions about for a long time. So yeah, I'll take any try, especially for Scotland. So.
Yeah, to be honest, I remember seeing it and I didn't see you catch the ball. Obviously, it was the replay because it just happened so quick. But I thought you did particularly well just to catch it because it was almost like one of those reaction things which you could have girdled so easily.
You know me, Hendo, with my hands as well, so I was as happy as you were to catch it. And I think looking back in the game, like if it had been a lot closer, I think that was to get us in the lead. You know, I would have got an absolute bollocking if I dropped it or not scored it. So yeah, I'm just happy I put it down.
I think you would have remembered that, yeah. Another good question here, just asking about how you both prepare for matches and what the differences are between maybe preparing for Glasgow, if there are any, or preparing for Edinburgh to playing for Scotland. Jamie, if you go.
I think in general, the training weeks is set up differently just because they're different environments, different coaches, they like to do things differently. In terms of personal preparation, I've got a few routines that I like to do. So I'll usually do, like, I'll just try and do extras after every session, but usually after the day before team run, I will like do my kind of breakdown extras, like my jackal prep, like Hamish and I'll do that together. Depending on if the game is home or away, I don't like to eat loads before games, just as a personal preference, probably opposite to Zander. I don't eat too much the day of the game, so I try and have a decent meal the night before. And yeah, now I have the same warm up that I do. I kind of, before the team warm up starts, I've got I go out 10 minutes before that, and I've got the same kind of routine that I go through that. But in terms of everything else, I try and be as relaxed as I can be, in the kind of lead up to that, and let the warm up kind of get me ready.
Good, Zander.
Yeah, similar to Jay. I've got not similar actually. The day before, my key thing is the night before a game, I have a big bowl of pasta, carbonara. And it doesn't have to be carbonara, but I have ludicrous amounts of pasta. Probably going to bed bloated because I don't like to eat that much in game day either, believe it or not. So yeah, sort of similar to Jamie in my sort of warm up. I like to get out 10 minutes before, and when we get to the ground. Oh, sorry, the build up to the day, I like to chill out as much as possible. Deal with the kids, go for a dog walk when I'm at home in Glasgow, and then for Scotland, it's sort of read a book, do some coursework and chill out, and then I like to have an afternoon nap, and then which with two kids is great. Yeah, I absolutely loves it when I say I'm off to bed. But yeah, so get to the ground, and I like to head out 10 minutes. I like to get to the ground early first of all, and then I like to go out 10 minutes before. We do like a sort of micro skills, and I've got a sort of set warm up I do for the whole body and get my neck warm and stuff. And I like to get a little bit of a blow on before we get into the 3-on-3 scrums and stuff to get warm. So not too dissimilar, but I used to be a lot more strict in what I did, and now it's sort of just gonna go out and play.
I take it either of you don't have any kind of old wife's things that you do, or routines, left shoe on first, right shoe, or any routines? Do you have anything like that before a game? Jamie?
No, nothing like that. I think I've got a pair of undershorts that I've had since I was at school that I like to wear. So apart from that,
I hate to think what they look like now.
They're actually not too bad because they'll get worn once a week max.
I guess, yeah.
And then it's only for a part of the year. But I do occasionally not wear them, but most of the time I'll wear them.
Zander, anything for you?
I've got the same warm-up top I wore since under 16s from Lidl. It's got a massive rip on the side, and it's a thermal. And I've worn it for every game, even in Japan, which was ludicrous because I was sweating buckets already. But yeah, I've worn that every game since, and I think Grandma's sewn it 4 or 5 times, but it's still one piece. So same as
It wasn't ripped by
only wear
anyone.
it
It
once a
wasn't
week.
ripped by anyone else. It's just ripped by your gut getting bigger. Isn't it?
I've actually lost weight since school. Thank you very much. But yeah.
Yeah, what was your top weight at school, Zander?
135. Yeah, I got the full benefit of the Sodexo buffet.
Yeah, Jamie was always lucky to sort of sport the more athletic look, shall we say.
I don't think I broke 100
Athletic.
kilos at school.
Oh, how many kegs are you at the moment, Jamie?
A few more than I was at school. I've lost a wee bit of weight recently. The most I've been is probably like 113, but I'm sitting around 108, 109 at the moment.
Right. And I guess, you know, everybody has their optimum weight to operate at. Kelly Brown was one of the players I remember when Scotland went mad in the gym and went way too big, and he had to kind of cut things back. So there's always a balance, I think, to be between the gym and playing and stuff like that. Nice question here from Richard Cunningham, which maybe probably indicates how old Richard is. He's going, thanks guys, really enjoying everything. Come on, surely when you were at school, you were down at Kilgraston on an evening. Jack's Hotel by the level crossing, I think that's gone way beyond. Some of the older staff might remember that. And Saturday afternoon evenings in Perth, like the rest of us, or maybe those days are gone. Yeah.
To be fair, Millie did go to Kilgraston for the last 2 years, but I don't think I ever went when I was at school, and that's an honest answer. Most we've done would been pick her up with my parents and take when we go home for the weekend. But
yeah, I don't
but
recall.
I married a girl from Kilgraston, so it was a bit of a stereotype. But funny enough, I met her before she was at Kilgraston, so I met her. I won't give you the whole story; we'll be here forever. But I met her that summer. We came back from the Wellington Festival at under 16 Scotland, and I met her in that summer, and it just so happened that she was moving to Kilgraston. So
there you go. That maybe brings us down. You were a bit closer to home, Zander, obviously, with your liaisons with Yazzie.
Luckily, Yaz was a year above deputy head girl, so yeah, all good.
Yeah, from good stuff. Good one here. We've got a bet. Nick's saying he's got a bet going on here for Jamie. Which Irish back row has consistently managed to wind you up the most? Clearly, someone's been watching closely.
I don't know. Probably the two that I find most annoying are Zander and O'Mahony. But
why do they annoy you?
I've never had much of a problem with them. They just some of their chats just really bad. They say some real stupid stuff, and O'Mahony gets away with murder, like he cheats constantly, and Stander's just a big bloke, and he's pretty hard to tackle, but he comes out with some horrendous chat. But apart from those two, the rest are actually decent blokes. Like Josh van der Fleer, he's a really good bloke, actually. I've spoken to him a few times. We've had a couple of beers after games and stuff. He's a good boy.
Good. Any whispers in your ear on the scrum, Zander? Anybody that particularly gives you bad chat?
Rob Evans is, hand on heart, the worst chat I've ever heard on a rugby pitch. And I think if you watched him recently, he's not been in a good vein of form for a while, and he's been injured a few times. And his first game back was against Edinburgh, and I was watching, and he was getting stuck into VP, and VP absolutely drilled him, and he was still like chatting back. And I'm like, it's just a no-go. If you've got bad chat and you're going at someone and he's absolutely drilling you in the scrum, that's it. You know, you've lost your head. So, Rob Evans, hand on heart. Yeah, similar to Jay. Peter O'Mahony for me is just the dirtiest bloke. So many cheap shots, which just gets my blood boiling. So I hate him. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right, the real sort of insider stuff from the boys. Couple of things I'm going to put together here. You're both very lucky in that you've got a contract at Glasgow still, Zander. Jamie, you've just re-signed. Just just maybe discuss what it's like, to be asked back. I mean, everybody thinks it's just a foregone conclusion that you'll just be given a contract. It's not quite that way. And how you feel when you're approached by the club. Jamie, you've obviously just signed quite a big contract with the club. So, Jamie, if you start.
It's long, Henderson, not big.
Okay, sorry, long.
Big is right.
Zander was obviously translating for those that don't understand what I meant by that. Well, just give us some of the reasons behind that, maybe.
I mean, yeah, like for me, my eldest, he's just started primary one, so he's settled in school. So for us, it's good to kind of know where we are for the next wee while. With everything that's going on in the world, I was probably the most open I've been to moving away from the club. Not that I necessarily intended on it, but it was like I was open to the option. So I think, but a lot of places weren't sure with everything that was going on with COVID, and obviously the game's been affected pretty massively by it. And like I've been looked after well by Edinburgh and by the union, and it was a bit of a no-brainer for me when it came up, and I think for us it suited, and there's a few bits in there that I was really happy to get. And as I said, it's security for me and my family. We know where we are for the next 4 years. We can kind of plant our seeds here in Edinburgh, and we know what we're doing, so it's good. And like I've got lots of other family who are close by, and it's good for them to know that we're sticking around.
Yeah, and that's always a big reason, and it's great to have that. Zander, you've obviously settled in very well at Glasgow. It's got a real family feel about it. I've been to lots of the games. Just give us an idea about, what it's like to be asked to re-sign, and maybe what your plans are later on.
Yeah,
or
so
maybe not too much.
Playing professional rugby is privilege first and foremost, and as you say, the contracts aren't a given. I know a lot of boys who've thought they were going to get re-signed, and all of a sudden the club says we haven't got any budget for you, we're bringing someone else in. So yeah, sort of as you said, it's not a given, but to be offered like a decent, like a long contract, especially, is pretty humbling. For someone to want you and to invest in you for the next 2-3 years, it's a pretty cool feeling. And you sort of want to buy into that and give back to the club. Loyalty to Glasgow shown me has been massive, and especially when I snapped my ankle and they came in, I was out of contract, and they came in really early and offered me a new deal, which is up next year. So yeah, I love Glasgow. I've always supported them, and so I'm very, very emotionally attached to Glasgow. It's where I set up my family, and that's where Hamish and I were born, and it always meant a lot to me. But at the same time, like I wouldn't lie about it. Like I don't want to be a one club guy, and if the opportunity comes at the right time, I'd love to go and try some other experiences. So we'll see what happens. I'm under contract until next summer, but I'm loving it at Glasgow at the moment, and the way we get looked after by the SRU as well is a key thing for boys sticking around. And so yeah, very happy settled in Glasgow until next year.
Awesome. And listen, you're both very young guys, so you've still got that option. And I suppose the same thing, Jamie, even though it's a long deal that you've signed, you'll still be young at the end of that deal. Is it something you'd consider, maybe trying to play in another country?
Yeah, I think so. I think my kids will be at a stage where they're all pretty adaptable, and it's definitely something I've thought about a lot. And I think I would like to experience another league or another country, another culture. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would necessarily be at the end of this one or at some point in the future, but I think definitely I'd like to experience something else, and never know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah. Now, I'm just conscious of time, and I'm going to keep this to bang on an hour. I'm not going to go any further than that, but there's the last sort of little bit that's probably really of interest to all the kids at Strathallan, the parents and everything, and myself included, is, your names have both been sort of whisked around in the wind, associated with the Lions. Now, you don't just get your name associated with the Lions unless there's something there. I always say there's no smoke without fire. So, should that come a calling, what would it mean to you? For us, obviously, at the school, to have two boys, if you were to go on a Lions tour, just tell us what that would mean to you, because I know how much it would mean to us here. Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, even to be mentioned in these kind of conversations, it's humbling and it's pretty surreal, to be honest. I think, there's obviously a lot of time between now and then. We've got the Six Nations, and it's hard not to look ahead, but it's also can be hard to stay in the moment and focus on what you need to be doing. And look, who even knows if the Lions 2 will go ahead in the summer? Like, no one really knows. So I think for us, it's just about concentrating on what we can do in this moment. And if the call comes, it comes. It's so subjective, rugby in general. Like, if a coach wants to pick you, he'll pick you. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I think trying to stay as level-headed as I can about it. But obviously, yeah, if the call came, it'd be unbelievable, and it'd be definitely a childhood dream realised.
Yeah, Zander.
Yeah, no, it's really humbling, as Jamie said, to be associated with the Lions in any sort of chat. So very pleased and humbled by that. But as Jamie said, we don't know when it's happening, first of all. And I think sort of the way what this year's shown me is sort of, especially with COVID, is don't look so far ahead. So I'm trying to get better week by week. If that's at Glasgow, if training by myself or in the Scotland environment. So, but I look at it as I take the box process. I have to play well for Glasgow consistently, sort of get that tick, then play for Scotland, tick that box, and then if the call comes, and I get the opportunity, I would take it with both hands, and it'd be a massive privilege to play for Lions, and also sort of I'd be pretty special for all the coaches that have coached me in the years gone by, yours truly as well, Hendo, because without all you guys chipping in, it's sort of credit to your hard work that would get me there. And so yeah, I think I've got to tick those boxes, and I'll keep doing that day by day, week by week, and then if it comes, it comes. And yeah, it'd be amazing.
No, it's great to hear, and it is a humbling thing to do, but we'll certainly keep our fingers crossed, and if that happens, definitely get you back to the school. There'll be a free school lunch involved. I mean, I know.
I'll be there.
Make it a Friday.
It's a done deal. Oh, it's Fishy Friday, right?
Fishy
We'll put it on Fishy Friday.
I'll be there.
Right, listen, I've just got one last question, because traditionally this always has to come up. Maybe just to finish off, and give us what's your most embarrassing moment playing rugby to date. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it, then I'll pick one of you, because sometimes it doesn't just come to the front of your head. If you look as though you've got one, oh my goodness, you're thinking, the pair of you. That's your kind of further maths look you've got there, Zander. Right, Jamie, come on in. You must have one. Let's go.
I don't know. Embarrassing. Probably like dropping the ball, like dropping something really easy. Probably something like that. So it's boring, but I can't think of anything that springs to mind.
Clearly, you've been very lucky not to have any embarrassing moments thus far. Zander, got anything?
I think for me, it's probably at Hawks. I drove. We're playing Gala away, and I was in the tubes, and I just left school, and I drove down instead of getting the bus because I was going to see Yaz after, and I was late to the game, and I was getting so stressed. I missed the warm up. I wasn't strapped. Got my boots on, ran outside, and started doing the warm up. I didn't know which pitch it was we were playing on. Doing the warm up, and then I get a tap on the shoulder. Sorry, Zander, you're in the wrong squad. So I went, oh, sorry, boys. Got it off to the twos. I go. They're about to kick off, and I'm like, I was supposed to be starting, so I rock up to go kick off, and then I get another tap on the shoulder by the referee. Oh, the coach is saying you've been subbed actually because you missed the warm up. So I was like, oh, so yeah, absolute murder. I also knew one of the Gala boys in the opposite team who was absolutely howling at this. He'd watched the whole thing unfold. So yeah, I probably didn't live that one down for a while.
I thought of one.
Oh, good.
So,
come on then.
We played Dragons away, maybe 2017, and this was at the stage where like standing off mauls was like a huge like trend in the game, and we got a maul set up, and I was at the back of it with the ball. They've stood off it. I have no idea. My head's in the middle of this maul, and their hooker runs around the back and like comes to take the ball off me, and me thinking he's on my team, I just gave it to him, and he went off down the pitch. So yeah, that was probably that was when I got a bit of heat for after. So yeah. I've obviously blocked out of the memory. That's why.
Yeah, one you maybe want to forget from that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it just, for me, I thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know you're in camp. You've got a really busy schedule. You've given up a whole hour. You've been sitting eating constantly. So hopefully dinner's on its way from that. From me and from everybody that joined in with their questions, thank you very much. We wish you all the very best for Saturday, obviously for the opener next week, and for the rest of the campaign. And let's hope before time we can get the school on buses again and come down and cheer you guys on at Murrayfield. I'll just wave to Matt as well, just because he's been there.
There's bald spot. Don't forget his bald spot.
Up there. Oh yeah, just on there. Just rub that one for him. I really hope he's watching this. If you do see him though, tell him we will get him on soon. This was only because you guys had played in the same year and we wanted to sort of shape it up that way. But listen, love to you guys. Thanks again. Thanks for everything. And let's get a win for Scotland next Saturday, which would be absolutely awesome from that. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you guys.